Hello, and welcome to the second part of our Top 100 Project Manager interview questions and answers session. In this video, we will be covering the most common questions asked during project manager interviews, as well as some tips and strategies for answering them. Whether you're a seasoned project manager or just starting out in the field, this video will provide valuable insight and preparation for your next interview. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, CareersTalk, and like this video if you found it helpful. Thank you for watching, and we hope you find this video useful in your career journey as a project manager. So without further delay, let's begin. Question number 51. How do you handle team members who are not meeting budget or resource constraints? As a project manager, it is my responsibility to ensure that all team members are meeting budget and resource constraints within the project. When a team member is not meeting constraints, it can have significant impact on the overall success of the project. Therefore, it is important to address the issue as soon as it is identified and to have a clear plan in place for addressing and resolving the issue. One approach that I've found to be effective is to have regular meetings with the team member to discuss their progress and to identify any issues or challenges that they may be facing. During these meetings, I work with the team member to develop a plan for addressing any budget or resource constraints that they may be facing. This may involve identifying and implementing cost saving measures or finding ways to optimize the use of resources. Another approach that I have found to be effective is to implement a performance management process that includes clear metrics and targets for each team member. This allows me to measure and track the progress of each team member and to identify any areas where they may be falling short of expectations. By implementing a performance management process, I can take a more proactive approach to addressing budget and resource constraints rather than waiting for issues to arise. For example, in a project where the budget is tight, we encountered a team member who was using expensive tools and resources for their tasks. This was causing the budget to exceed and was affecting the project's timeline. I scheduled a meeting with the team member and discussed with them the budget constraints and how their actions were affecting the project. Together, we worked on finding alternatives that would still allow them to complete their tasks but at a lower cost, thus reducing the overall budget and keeping the project on track. Another example was in a project where the resources were limited. One of the team members was requesting additional resources for their tasks, which would cause a delay in the project timeline. I scheduled a meeting with the team member to discuss the resource constraints and how the request would affect the project. During the meeting, we worked on finding ways to optimize the resources we had and using them in a more efficient way. By doing this, we were able to complete the tasks without any delay and without requesting additional resources. In conclusion, as an IT project manager, it is important to have a clear plan in place for addressing and resolving issues related to budget and resource constraints. This may involve regular meetings with team members, implementing a performance management process, and finding ways to optimize the use of resources. By addressing these issues in a timely and effective manner, we can ensure the overall success of the project and meet the project's budget and resource constraints. Question number 52. How do you handle team members who are not meeting project goals or objectives? Well, here's the answer to this question. As an IT project manager, it is important to identify and address any issues with team members who are not meeting project goals or objectives in a timely and effective manner. The following are two examples of how I might handle the situation. Firstly, example number one. Number one, identify the issue. The first step is to identify the specific issue or problem that is preventing the team member from meeting project goals or objectives. This could include a lack of understanding of the task or project requirements, lack of necessary skills or experience, or a personal issue that is impacting their performance. Number two, communicate with the team member. Once the issue has been identified, it is important to communicate directly with the team member to understand their perspective and any challenges they're facing. This could be done through one on one meetings, email, or other forms of communication. Number three, develop a plan of action. Based on the information gathered from the team member, develop a plan of action to address the issue. This could include providing additional training or resources, adjusting project timelines, or reassigning tasks to other team members. Number four, monitor progress. Regularly monitor the team members' progress to ensure the plan of action is having the desired effect and make any necessary adjustments. Let's look at the second example now. In this second approach, the first step is to identify the issue. Well, in this scenario, the team members consistently missing deadlines and not meeting project's goals or objectives. The second is to communicate with the team member. After identifying the issue, I would schedule a meeting with the team member to discuss the problem and understand their perspective. During the meeting, we would explore any challenges that the team member is facing and what can be done to help them meet their deadline and complete the assigned tasks. Number three, develop a plan of action. After discussing the challenges and identifying possible solutions, we would develop a plan of action together. This could include providing additional resources, adjusting the deadline, or reassigning some of the tasks to other team members. Number four, monitor progress. We would set regular check ins and reviews of the team members' progress to ensure they are meeting the project goals and objectives. If they're not meeting the deadlines, we would work together to understand why and make necessary adjustments in the plan of action. In both examples, it is important to communicate openly and honestly with the team member and to take proactive approach to addressing the issue. By working together, the team member and I can develop a plan of action and monitor progress to ensure the project goals and objectives are met. Let's now look at question number 53. How do you handle team members who are not meeting quality standards for their work? As an IT project manager, handling team members who are not meeting quality standards for their work is an important part of my role. I believe in addressing this issue in a professional and constructive manner, with the goal of improving the overall performance of the team and ensuring that the project is completed on time and within budget. Here are two examples of how I would handle team members who are not meeting quality standards for their work. In the first instance, I identified that one of my team members was consistently producing work that did not meet the required quality standards. After discussing the issue with the team member, I discovered that they were not completely familiar with the software and tools that were being used for the project. To address this, I provided additional training and resources to help them improve their skill and increase their confidence in their ability to produce quality work. In another instance, I discovered that one of my team members was not meeting quality standards for their work due to a lack of attention to detail. To address this, I set up a system of regular quality checks and provided feedback on their work to help them understand what was expected and how they could improve. Additionally, I made sure that they had the appropriate tools and resources to help them do their work more efficiently, such as templates and checklists to assist them in the process. Overall, I believe that open communication, providing training and resources, and regular quality checks are key to ensuring that team members are meeting the quality standards for their work. By addressing issues quickly and constructively, I believe that we can help improve the overall performance of the team and ensure that the project is completed on time and within budget. Question number 54 is up next. How do you handle team members who are not following company policies or procedures? As an IT project manager, it is my responsibility to ensure that all team members are following company policies and procedures. When a team member is not guidelines, it can have a negative impact on the project and the company as a whole. Therefore, it is important to address the issue quickly and effectively. First, I would have a one on one meeting with the team member to discuss the specific policies or procedures that they are not following. During this meeting, I would listen to their perspective and try to understand their reasoning for not following the guidelines. After discussing the issue, I would provide clear instructions on how they can correct their behavior and ensure they understand the importance of following company policies and procedures. If the issue persists after this initial meeting, I would consult with my team member's supervisor and possibly HR to find a solution. It may be necessary to implement a performance improvement plan or disciplinary action to ensure the team member is held accountable for their actions. Let's look at two examples then. Example number one. One team member was consistently missing deadlines for their assigned tasks. Upon investigation, it was found that they were not following the company's time management policy. I had a one-on-one meetings with the team member and explained how their behavior was negatively impacting the project. I provided them with the company's time management policy and outlined specific steps that they could take to improve their performance, such as using a task management tool and setting specific deadlines for themselves. After implementing these steps, the team members' performance improved and they were able to meet their deadlines. Let's look at the second example. Another team member was found to be using personal devices for work purposes without proper security measures in place. This was a violation of the company's IT security policy. I had a meeting with the team member to discuss this issue and explained the importance of following company policies for security. I provided them with the company's IT security policy and outlined specific steps they needed to take, such as installing a VPN on their device, update the security software. The team member was able to comply with these steps and their behavior improved, keeping the company's IT security in check. In summary, as an IT project manager, it is important to address issues of team members not following company policies and procedures promptly and effectively. By having a one on one meeting, providing clear instructions and offering support, and involving the relevant authorities if required. It is possible to ensure that team members are held accountable for their actions and the project can run smoothly. Here's question number 55. How do you handle team members who are not collaborating effectively with others? As an IT project manager, it is important to address issues of team members not collaborating effectively with others as soon as they arise. It is crucial for the success of the project and the overall team dynamic. Here are two examples of how I would handle this situation. Example number one. If a team member is not actively participating in team meetings or not responding to group emails or messages, I would first try to understand the reasons behind their behavior. I would schedule a one on one meeting with them and ask them about any potential challenges or obstacles that are preventing them from collaborating with the rest of the team. Depending on their response, I would provide support and guidance to help them overcome any issues. For example, if they are struggling with a particular task, I would offer to provide additional training or resources to help them complete it. Example number two. If a team member is not following through on their assigned tasks and not communicating with other team members, I would first address the issue with them directly. I would ask them to explain the reasons for not following through on their tasks and not communicating with the team. If the issue is related to a lack of understanding of the role or a lack of clarity on their tasks, I would provide additional training or clarification on their responsibilities. If the issue is related to a lack of motivation or engagement, I would work with the team member to help them find ways to increase their engagement and motivation. Additionally, I would check with the other team members and discuss the situation with them to understand the extent of the problem and then take appropriate actions to ensure smooth collaboration and completion of tasks. Ultimately, it is important to approach the situation with empathy and understanding while also holding team members accountable for their actions. By working together, we can find solution to any issue and ensure that the project is completed successfully. Here's question number 56. How do you handle team members who are not contributing to team discussions or meetings? As an IT project manager, it is important to address team members who are not contributing to team discussions or meetings in a constructive and proactive manner. This can help to maintain a positive and productive work environment for all team members, as well as ensure that the project stays on track and is completed successfully. Let's look at two examples. Example number one. One approach to handling team members who are not contributing to team discussions or meetings is to schedule one on one meetings with them. During these meetings, it is important to ask open ended questions and actively listen to the responses in order to understand why they may be hesitant to contribute. This could be due to lack of confidence, a lack of understanding of the project, or a lack of relevant skills or knowledge. By identifying the root cause of the issue, the project manager can then work with the team member to develop a plan of action to address the issue and help them feel more confident and involved in the project. Example number two. Another approach is to incorporate different methods of communication and collaboration into the team's workflow. For example, some team members may prefer to communicate and contribute to the project through written documentation or email, while others may prefer to contribute through virtual meetings or video conferencing. By providing different ways for team members to participate and contribute, the project manager can help to ensure that everyone feels comfortable and able to contribute in a way that best suits their personal communication style. Overall, it is important to remember that every team member is unique and may have different motivations and ways of working. By being open minded and flexible, the project manager can help to create a positive and inclusive work environment where everyone feels comfortable and able to contribute their ideas and expertise. This putting forward of one's personal ideas can ultimately lead to a more successful project outcome. Question number 57 is here for us now. How do you handle team members who are not following project guidelines or protocols? As a project manager, it is important to ensure that all team members are following project guidelines and protocols to ensure the successful completion of the project. When a team member is not following these guidelines, it can cause delays, mistakes, and miscommunication. Here are two examples of how I would handle team members who are not following proper guidelines or protocols. Example number one. A team member is not submitting their work in time. Here are some of the options and strategies that one can use to tackle this. Number one, identify the problem. I would first identify the specific problem and determine why the team member is not submitting their work on time. This could be due to a lack of understanding of the project requirements, a lack of proper training or resources, or personal issues. Number two, communicate with the team member. Once the problem has been identified, I would then communicate with the team member to discuss the issue. During this conversation, I would ask the team member for their perspective on the situation and provide guidance on how to meet project requirements. Number three, set clear expectations. I would then set clear expectations for the team member's performance and establish a plan of action to ensure that the team member is meeting project requirements. This could include deadlines for work submission, providing additional training or resources, or re-evaluating the team members' workload to ensure they are able to meet the project requirements. Number 4, monitor progress. Finally, I would monitor the team members' progress to ensure they are meeting project requirements and following guidelines. If the team member is not meeting expectations, I would take appropriate action to address the issue. Example 2. A team member is not following protocols for communicating project updates. Number 1. Identify the problem. I would first identify the specific problem and determine why the team member is not following protocols for communicating project updates. This could be due to a lack of understanding of the project requirements, a lack of proper training or resources, or personal issues. Number 2, communicate with the team. Once the problem has been identified, I would then communicate with the team member to discuss the issue. During this conversation, I would ask the team member for their perspective on the situation and provide guidance on how to meet project requirements. Number 3, set clear expectations. I would then set clear expectations for the team members' communication and establish a plan of action to ensure that the team member is following protocols. This could include setting guidelines for when and how updates should be communicated, providing additional training or resources, or re-evaluating the team members' workload to ensure they are able to meet the project requirements. Number 4, monitor progress. Finally, I would monitor the team members' progress to ensure that they are following protocols for communicating project updates. If the team member is not meeting expectations, I would take appropriate action to address the issue. Overall, as a project manager, it is important to address any issues related to team members not following project guidelines or protocols in a timely and effective manner. This includes identifying the problem, communicating with the team member, setting clear expectations, and monitoring progress to ensure that the project is completed successfully. Question 58. How do you handle team members who are not meeting expectations or meeting deadlines? As a project manager, it is important to handle team members who are not meeting expectations or meeting deadlines in a professional and productive manner. One approach is to set clear expectations for performance and deadlines at the beginning of the project. This includes outlining specific responsibilities for each team member and agreeing on a system for tracking progress and addressing any issues that arise. When a team member is not meeting expectations or deadlines, the first step is to have a one on one conversation with them to understand the reasons behind the issue. It could be that they are facing unforeseen challenges or have a lack of resources. By understanding the underlying cause, you can work together to develop a plan to get back on track. For example, if a team member is consistently missing deadlines, you may need to adjust the project schedule or assign additional resources to help them meet their commitments. If a team member is struggling with a specific task, you may need to provide additional training or guidance. Another approach could be performance reviews, where the team member's performance against the expectations and their deadlines is discussed. It could also be a good idea to document the issues and track the improvements over time so you can have a clear understanding of how the situation has progressed. Another example, if a team member is not meeting expectations in terms of the quality of their work, you might schedule regular check ins to provide feedback and offer support as needed. You may also want to establish a system for quality assurance, such as peer reviews or code reviews. It's important to remember that the goal is to work with the team member to identify and address any issues, rather than placing blame or criticizing them. By taking a collaborative and supportive approach, you can help the team member improve their performance and contribute to the success of the project. Question number 59. How do you deal with pressure or stress in high stakes situation? As a project manager, I have learned that dealing with pressure or stress in high stakes situations requires a combination of effective planning, clear communication, and the ability to remain calm and composed under pressure. One way I deal with pressure is by ensuring that my team and I have a clear plan in place for the project. This includes identifying potential risks and developing a contingency plan to mitigate them. By doing this, we are able to anticipate and address any potential issues before they become major problems. In addition, I make sure to keep lines of communication open and clear with my team, stakeholders, and clients. This allows us to stay on the same page and address any concerns or issues as they arise. By being transparent and open, we are able to work together to find solutions to any challenges that may arise. Another way I deal with pressure is by remaining calm and composed under it. This means not panicking, not overreacting when something goes or a problem arises. Instead, I focus on staying calm and finding a solution. By remaining calm and composed, I'm able to lead my team in a calm and effective manner and make better decisions. For example, when I was managing a project for a major retail chain, we encountered a major issue with the delivery of a product from one of our suppliers. This had the potential to cause major delays and problems for the project. But by staying calm and composed, I was able to quickly assess the situation, identify potential solutions, and work with my team and the supplier to find an alternative solution that would not impact the project timeline. Another example, when I was managing a project for a software development company, the development team faced a major obstacle in the form of a new set of requirements that had not been taken into account during the planning phase. This could have led to major delays in the project. But I was able to keep my cool and work with the team to come up with a creative solution that addressed the new requirements while keeping the project on track. In conclusion, as a project manager, dealing with pressure or stress in high stakes situations requires effective planning, clear communication, and the ability to remain calm and composed under pressure. By having a clear plan in place, keeping lines of communication open and clear, and remaining calm and composed, we are able to anticipate and address any potential issues before they become major problems and work together to find solutions to any challenge that may arise. Question number 60 awaits us. How do you handle unexpected setbacks or failures in your projects? As a project manager, it is important to have a plan in place for handling unexpected setbacks or failures in projects. The first step is to assess the situation and determine the root cause of the issue. This could include identifying any external factors, such as changes in clients' needs or budget constraints, or internal factors such as miscommunication or lack of resources. Once the issue has been identified, it is important to communicate the situation clearly and transparently to all stakeholders. This includes the project team, stakeholders, and any impacted parties. It is important to be honest and realistic about the potential impact on the project timeline and budget, and to provide a clear plan for addressing the issue and moving forward. One example of an unexpected setback I've encountered was a change in client requirements mid project. The client decided they wanted to add several new features to the project, which would require additional resources and a significant amount of additional work. To handle this, I assessed the situation and identified the root cause as a change in client needs. I then communicated the situation to all stakeholders and provided a clear plan for addressing the issue by reevaluating the project scope, revising the project timeline, and identifying additional resources that would be needed. Through this process, we were able to ensure that the project stayed on track and met the client's new requirements. Another example of an unexpected setback was a delay in receiving necessary components for a construction project. This caused a delay in the project timeline and added additional costs. To handle this, I identified the root cause as a delay in receiving necessary components and communicated the situation to all stakeholders. I then provided a clear plan for addressing the issue by identifying alternative suppliers and creating a new project timeline that would allow the project to stay on track. Through this process, we were able to minimize the impact of the delay on the project and successfully complete it on time. Overall, it is important to stay calm and objective when handling unexpected setbacks or failures in projects. By identifying the root cause, communicating transparently with stakeholders, and providing a clear plan for addressing the issue, a project manager can effectively navigate these challenges and keep the project on track. Question number 61. How do you motivate and encourage your team to meet project deadlines and goals? Well, here's the answer. Motivating and encouraging a team to meet project deadlines and goals is a crucial aspect of being a successful project manager. The following are some strategies and techniques that can be used to motivate and encourage a team to meet project deadlines and goals. Number one, set clear and realistic goals. One of the most important things a project manager can do to motivate and encourage the team is to set clear and realistic goals for the project. This means communicating the project's objectives, milestones, and deliverables in a clear and straightforward manner. Having a clear understanding of what is expected can help team members stay focused and motivated. Number two, provide regular feedback. Another way to and encourage a team is to provide regular feedback on their performance. This can be done through informal conversations, team meetings, or formal performance evaluations. Feedback allows team members to see how their efforts are contributing to the overall success of the project, and it can help them identify areas where they need to improve. Number three, encourage collaboration and teamwork. Collaboration and teamwork are key factors in motivating and encouraging a team to meet project deadlines and goals. Encouraging team members to work together, share ideas, and support one another can help to build trust and a sense of shared ownership amongst team members. This can make it more likely that they will be motivated to work together to achieve project goals. Let us look at two examples. Example number one, a project manager working on a project to develop a new software application sets clear and realistic goals for the team. They provide regular feedback on progress and encourage team members to collaborate and share ideas. This led to the successful completion of the project within the set deadline. The second example, a project manager working on a construction project set clear and realistic goals for the team. They also provided regular feedback and encouraged team members to collaborate and support one another. This led to the successful completion of the project on time and within budget. Question number 62. How do you handle difficult or demanding clients or customers? As a project manager, handling difficult or demanding clients or customers is an inevitable part of the job. However, there are several strategies that can be implemented to effectively manage these situations. Number one, communicate effectively. Effective communication is key when dealing with difficult clients or customers. It is important to listen actively to their concerns, provide clear and concise responses, and keep them updated on the progress of the project. This helps to build trust and establish a positive relationship. For example, if a client is requesting constant updates, create a schedule for regular progress reports that the client can rely on. Number two, be empathetic. It is important to understand and empathize with the client's situation. They may have their own unique challenges and concerns. By being empathetic, you can better understand their perspective and come up with solutions that address their specific needs. For example, if a client is concerned about the timeline of the project, work with the team to come up with a revised timeline and address their concern while still meeting project goals. Number three, establish clear boundaries. It is important to establish clear boundaries with difficult clients or customers. This can be done by setting expectations, communicating the scope of the project, and outlining the responsibilities of both parties. This helps to prevent misunderstandings and ensures that the project stays on track. For example, if a client is making unreasonable demands, communicate that these requests fall outside of the scope of the project and cannot be accommodated. Number four, use a problem solving approach. If a difficult situation arises, use a problem solving approach to resolve the issue. This involves identifying the problem, brainstorming potential solutions, and implementing the best solution. By using this approach, you can address the issue at hand and prevent it from happening again in the future. For example, if a client is dissatisfied with the quality of work, work with the team to identify the problem, come up with potential solutions, and implement a plan to improve the quality of the work. In conclusion, handling difficult clients or customers requires understanding and effective communication. By implementing the strategies outlined above, project managers can effectively manage difficult situations and keep the track on project. Here's question number 63. How do you handle difficult or challenging team members? As a project manager, it is important to have the ability to effectively manage difficult or challenging team members. These individuals can have a significant impact on the success of the project, and it is essential to handle them in a professional and effective manner. The first step in handling difficult team members is to identify the root cause of their behavior. This could be due to a lack of communication, unclear expectations, or personal issues. Once the cause is identified, it is important to address the issue directly with the team member. This can be done through open and honest communication, setting clear expectations, and providing support and guidance as needed. One example of how I have handled a difficult team member is by addressing a lack of communication. One team member had been consistently missing important meetings and was not completing their assigned tasks on time. After a discussion with the team member, it was discovered that they were not aware of the importance of the meetings and were not clear on their assigned tasks. I provided clear communication about the importance of the meetings and set specific expectations for the tasks. I also set up regular check ins to ensure that they were on track and to provide support as needed. Another example of handling a difficult team member is by addressing personal issues. One team member had been consistently displaying negative behavior and was not collaborating well with the rest of the team. After a private discussion, it was discovered that the team member was going through some personal issues outside of work. I provided the team member with resources and support to help them cope with their personal issues. I also set up regular check ins to ensure that they were getting the support they needed and to provide support as needed. In conclusion, handling difficult team members can be challenging, but it is essential to the success of the project. By identifying the root cause of their behavior, addressing it directly, and providing support and guidance, it is possible to improve the individual's behavior and ensure that the project is completed on time and within budget. Let's now look at question number 64. How do you handle personal or professional setbacks or challenges that impact your work? As a project manager, it is important to have a plan in place to handle personal or professional setbacks or challenges that may impact your work. The first step is to take a step back and assess the situation. Determine the cause of the setback or challenge and the potential impact it may have on the project. Once the situation has been assessed, it is important to develop a plan to address the problem and minimize the impact on the project. One example of a personal setback that I have faced in my career as a project manager was a family emergency that required my immediate attention. In this situation, I immediately informed my team and stakeholders of the situation and worked with them to develop a plan to minimize the impact on the project. I also identified key tasks that needed to be completed in my absence and delegated them to other team members. This allowed the project to continue to progress even though I was not able to be present on site. Another example of a professional setback that I faced was a key team member quitting unexpectedly. In this situation, I quickly assessed the impact on the project and developed a plan to address the loss of the team member. I worked with the remaining team members to redistribute tasks and responsibilities and identified potential replacements for the missing team member. I also communicated with stakeholders to keep them informed of the situation and assure them that the project would not be impacted by the loss of the team member. In both of these examples, I found that clear and effective communication, a flexible approach, and the ability to think on my feet were key to successfully navigating these setbacks and challenges. By approaching these setbacks with a positive attitude and a plan in place, I was able to minimize the impact on the project and move forward with minimal disruption. Question number 65. How do you handle difficult or sensitive conversations with team members or stakeholders? As a project manager, it is important to be able to handle difficult or sensitive conversations with team members or stakeholders in a professional and effective manner. These type of conversations can often be uncomfortable, but they're necessary part of managing a project and ensuring that the project is completed successfully. One way to handle difficult or sensitive conversations is to be prepared. Before having the conversation, gather all relevant information and think through what you want to say. This will help you to stay on track and make sure that you're addressing the key issues. Another important aspect of handling difficult or sensitive conversations is to be respectful. It is important to listen actively to what the other person is saying and to show empathy and understanding. This will help to create a more positive atmosphere and will make it more likely that the conversation will result in a successful outcome. Let's look at two examples. Example number one, let's say that a team member is consistently not meeting their deadlines and it's impacting the overall project timeline. I would schedule a one on one meeting with the team member to discuss their performance. During the meeting, I would express my concern about the missed deadlines and how it is affecting the project. I would also ask them for their perspective on what may be causing the delays and if there are any barriers or challenges that they're facing. By doing this, I am showing respect and empathy while also addressing the concern and working towards finding a solution. Example number two, if a stakeholder is unhappy with the progress of the project and is threatening to withdraw funding, I would schedule a meeting to address their concerns. I would prepare by reviewing the project progress and identifying any areas that may be causing their dissatisfaction. During the meeting, I would present this information and demonstrate that we have a plan to address the issues. I would also be prepared to discuss potential solutions and a plan to mitigate any further issues. By doing this, I am being proactive in addressing the concern and showing that I am committed to finding a solution that will work for both the project and the stakeholder. Overall, handling difficult or sensitive conversations requires effective communication, active listening, and an ability to navigate challenging situations. By being prepared and respectful, project managers can successfully handle difficult or sensitive conversations and maintain positive relationships with team members and stakeholders. Question number 66. How do you handle difficult or challenging feedback or criticism from stakeholders? Let's look at the answer. As a project manager, it is important to have a clear approach for handling difficult or challenging feedback or criticism from stakeholders. This includes understanding the source of the feedback, assessing its validity, and taking appropriate actions to address any concerns. One approach to handling difficult feedback is to first understand the source of the feedback. Is it coming from a key stakeholder? such as a project sponsor or a team member? Or is it coming from an external source, such as a customer or regulator? Understanding the source of the feedback can help to determine its level of importance and how to best respond to it. Once the source of the feedback is understood, it is important to assess its validity. Is the feedback based on facts or perceptions? Are there specific issues that need to be addressed, or is it more of a general complaint? Assessing the validity of the feedback can help to determine the appropriate actions to take. For example, if the feedback is coming from a key and is based on facts, it is important to take immediate action to address the issue. This could involve bringing in additional resources or modifying the project plan to address the specific concern. In contrast, if the feedback is more general in nature and based on perceptions, it may be more appropriate to address it through communication and stakeholder engagement activities. Another approach to handling difficult feedback is to respond in a timely and professional manner. This includes acknowledging the receipt of the feedback, providing a clear explanation of any actions that will be taken to address the issue, and following up with the stakeholder to ensure that the issue has been resolved to their satisfaction. For example, if a customer provides feedback that the product delivered is not meeting the expectations, it is important to respond in a timely and professional manner. This could involve acknowledging receipt feedback, providing a clear explanations of any actions that will be taken to address the issue, such as additional testing or redesigning the product, and following up with the customer to ensure that the issue has been resolved to their satisfaction. In conclusion, as a project manager, it is important to have a clear approach for handling difficult or challenging feedback or criticism from stakeholders. This includes understanding the source of the feedback, assessing its validity, and taking appropriate actions to address any concerns. Additionally, responding in a timely and professional manner is crucial in addressing the issues and maintaining positive relationships with stakeholders. Question number 67. How do you handle conflicts or disputes with clients or customers? As a project manager, it is important to have a clear and effective approach for handling conflicts or disputes with clients or customers. My approach typically involves the following steps. Number one, listen and understand the issue. The first step in resolving any conflict or dispute is to listen and understand the concerns of the client or customer. This means actively listening to their perspective, asking questions to clarify any misunderstandings, and being empathetic. Number two, identify the root cause. Once I have a clear understanding of the issue, I then work to identify the root cause of the conflict or dispute. This may involve reviewing project documents, speaking with team members, or conducting additional research to gather more information. Number three, communicate and negotiate. Once the root cause of the conflict or dispute has been identified, I then communicate and negotiate with the client or customer to come to a resolution. This may involve proposing a solution, discussing potential compromises, or working together to find a mutually benefit outcome. Number four, document and follow up. Finally, I document the resolution of the conflict or dispute, including any agreements or actions that were taken to resolve the issue. I also follow up with the client or customer to ensure that the resolution is being implemented and that the issue has been fully resolved. Let's look at two examples then. Example number one. One example of a conflict that I had to handle as a project manager was during an IT project for a financial service company. The client was concerned about the project being delayed and the potential impact on their business. After listening to their concerns, I identified the root cause of the delay as a lack of resources on the team. I communicated this to the client and proposed increasing the team size to ensure that the project would be completed on time. The client agreed, and we were able to successfully complete the project on schedule. Example number two. Another example of a dispute that I had to handle was during a website development project for a retail company. The client was unhappy with the design of the website, claiming that it did not match their brand. After understanding their concerns, I identified the root cause of the dispute as a lack of clear communication during the design phase. I communicated this to the client and proposed redesigning the website to better align with their brand. The client agreed, and we were able to successfully redesign the website to their satisfaction. We are now at question number 68. How do you handle difficult or challenging projects or tasks that are outside of your comfort zone? As a project manager, I approach difficult or challenging projects or tasks by first identifying the specific areas that are outside of my comfort. Once identified, I take the following steps. Step number one, research and gather information. I research best practices and gather information from experts in the field to gain a better understanding of the task at hand. This helps me to develop a plan of action and identify any potential roadblocks. Number two, build a strong team. I make sure to assemble a team with a diverse set of skills and expertise to help me navigate the challenges of the project. By leveraging the strengths of my team members, I can ensure that we have the resources and knowledge needed to successfully complete the project. Number three, communicate effectively. I make sure to clearly communicate the goals and expectations of the project to my team and stakeholders. This helps to ensure that everyone is on the same page and working towards a common goal. Number four, be flexible. I understand that projects can change and evolve, and I'm prepared to adapt my plan as needed. I'm comfortable with change and am able to pivot when necessary to ensure that we are still on track to meet our goals. Two examples await us now. Example number one, I once managed an IT project to implement a new enterprise resource planning or ERP system for a large manufacturing company. This was a challenging project as it required coordination with multiple departments and stakeholders, and it was outside of my comfort zone as I had limited experience with ERP systems. To tackle this project, I researched best practices for ERP implementation, built a strong team with expertise in ERP systems, clearly communicated the goals and expectations of the project to all stakeholders, and was flexible in adapting my plan as needed throughout the project. Ultimately, we were able to successfully implement the ERP system on time and within budget. Question number 69. How do you handle difficult or complex problems that arise in your projects? As a project manager, it is essential to have a systematic approach when dealing with difficult or complex problems that arise in my projects. The first step I take is to clearly define the problem and gather all necessary information to understand the issue fully. This includes identifying the root cause of the problem and assessing its impact on the project. Once the problem has been defined, I then develop a plan of action to address it. This includes identifying potential solutions and assessing the feasibility. I also involve the relevant stakeholders and team members in this process to ensure that all perspectives are taken into account. In terms of specific examples, I have dealt with two complex problems in IT projects in the past. The first was a software development project that was experiencing significant delays due to a lack of clear requirements and poor communication between the development team and the client. To address this problem, I set up regular meetings between the development team and the client to ensure that all requirements were clearly and understood. I also implemented a new project management tool that improved the overall communication and collaboration between team members. As a result, the project was completed on time and was a huge success. Another example was a data migration project that was experiencing issues due to a lack of data governance. The data was not properly formatted, and was causing delays in the migration process. To address this problem, I implemented a data governance framework that ensured that all data was properly formatted and validated before it was migrated. I also worked closely with the data team to ensure that they had necessary skills and resources to carry out the migration. As a result, the migration was completely successful and it was on time. In conclusion, as a project manager, I approach difficult and complex problems by clearly defining the problem, gathering information, developing a plan of action, involving relevant stakeholders and team members, and implementing effective solutions. By utilizing these strategies, I have been able to successfully address complex problems and deliver successful IT projects. Question number 70. How do you handle difficult or sensitive situations with discretion and professionalism? As a project manager, handling difficult or sensitive situations with discretion and professionalism is a crucial aspect of my role. In order to do this, I utilize a few key strategies. First, I always strive to remain calm and composed in any situation. This helps me to think clearly and make rational decisions rather than reacting emotionally. I also make sure to listen actively to all parties involved and to fully understand their perspectives and concerns. This allows me to address their concerns in a respectful and empathetic manner. Another key strategy is to communicate clearly and transparently with all stakeholders. This includes keeping everyone informed of the progress and any potential issues, as well as actively seeking input and feedback. By fostering open communication, I'm able to build trust and credibility with all stakeholders, which helps to create a positive and productive working environment. In addition to these strategies, I also rely on my experience and knowledge of IT projects to help me handle difficult or sensitive situations. To illustrate, I will provide two examples from past projects. Example number one. On a large scale IT implementation project, one of the key stakeholders expressed concerns about the project's timeline and budget. They felt that the project was taking too long and that costs were rising. In order to address these concerns, I worked closely with the project team to review the project plan and identify areas where we could improve efficiently and reduce costs. I also provided regular updates to the stakeholder and sought their input on the changes we were making. Through this process, we were able to address the stakeholders' concerns and maintain their support for the project. Example number two. On another IT project, a team member was to have violated company policies by sharing confidential information with an outside party. This was a highly sensitive situation that required immediate action. I worked with HR and legal to investigate the situation and determine the appropriate course of action. I also communicated with the team and other stakeholders to ensure that they were aware of the situation and that appropriate measures were in place to protect the company's confidential information. Through my handling of this situation, I was able to maintain the company's reputation and ensure that the team and other stakeholders felt safe and supported. In conclusion, handling difficult or sensitive situations with discretion and professionalism is a crucial aspect of my role as a project manager. By remaining calm and composed, listening actively, communicating and utilizing my experience and knowledge, I'm able to address concerns and maintain the support of stakeholders. Friends, we have covered 70 questions in the video so far. I hope that the video is beneficial to you and in your journey as a project manager. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to never miss an upload.